What's good with y'all, man? It's your boy G-Lex back in another video, man. In this video, y'all, we're going to be doing the rest of the 17 terms. No, sorry, the 34 terms that I was going to give y'all, man. This is the part 2 to my video, y'all. There's going to be 17 more terms that y'all need to know for your financial success, because everybody knows these terms. In the financial world, everybody knows these terms, you feel me? So you got to learn these terms, you feel what I'm saying? I made a part 1 already, so if you want to go check that out first before you watch this video, man, excuse me, a link will be in the description, you feel me? Without further ado, let's get straight into it, man. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the video, y'all. Let's get right into it. Now, risk. That's our first word, risk. What is risk? Risk is basically how likely you are to lose on an investment. I mean, we all pretty much know what risk means. You feel what I'm saying? However, most of us think that risk is outright just terrible. You feel me? If you got too much risk, then you don't do that investment. You feel me? Which, to an extent, that is true. However, not all risk is bad. Let's say that right now. Not all risk is bad. Some risk is actually good. You feel me? Because, for example, if you invest in the stock market and you want to invest in this one business, you put like $10,000 into this one business that you think might blow up, feel me? That business could crash and you can lose all your money. However, if it does blow up, then you make $1 million. Now that's not really assessing the risk, because there's a lot of shit that goes into investing. You feel me? Because when you invest, you have to actually know the company and like actually understand what they do, their core values, all that stuff. You got to understand that shit before you actually start investing, because otherwise that's just gambling. You feel me? So people who invest like that, they understand that there's a risk that the company could fail, but most likely it won't fail because they've done research on the company. So that's what's called a calculated risk, because even if they done research on the company, it can still fail. You feel what I'm saying? That's why risk is not bad. Outright risk is not bad if you actually do your research and you know what you're doing. You feel me? Not just gambling. Gambling risk is bad. I'm not gonna lie. Gambling risk is bad. Do not gamble. We don't gamble on this channel. Let's keep it pushing. Volatility. Volatility is the degree in variation for an asset's price over time. Basically, what that means is it's how high and how low a price goes within a certain time frame. For example, if you bought a house yesterday and the price was at like $100K yesterday, right? Then the price went up to like $150,000 today, and then it goes back down to $100 or $100,000, right? That's a high volatility, but it also goes down to like 50K. That's really high volatility, because that should happen like in one day. You feel me? Now that wouldn't happen in real life, but use that example for like stocks or something, like crypto. You feel me? If you bought crypto at like $1,000 one day and it went up to like $2,000 the next day, but then it goes right back down to like $500 the next day, like that's a really high volatility market. You feel me? That's what volatility means. It's how fast something goes up within a specific time frame. If it goes up in like within a day and like really goes up, that's a high volatility. If it's slowly going up and then slowly going back down, that's low volatility. You feel me? Index. What is an index? An index is a performance benchmark for a specific group of stocks. Now that might be a little confusing. What that basically means is an index is something that you use to compare your stock to other stocks. Basically, for example, the S&P 500, that's an index fund. And you use that because that's like the average of all the top 500 companies. So you use that to compare with a top 500 company, for example, like Coca-Cola. You see how well Coke is doing against S&P 500. That's an index. You're comparing your stock against other stocks. You feel what I'm saying? Comparing it against another group of stocks. You feel what I'm saying? Interest. Pretty much we all know what this means, right? The cost of borrowing money, or the reward for either saving it or lending it out. Now, for example, I mean, we all pretty much know, for example, if you borrow money from the bank, you gotta pay interest on that money. Feel me? If you're late on your credit card, you got to pay interest on your money. You feel me? That's basic knowledge. However, interest can also be to your advantage because, first of all, if you buy a bond from the bank or the government, that's basically you're giving them money, and they say they'll pay you back at an interest with this payment monthly. Or if you rent out a house and you're paying interest on that loan, but you're renting out the house, you're covering that interest and more. You feel what I'm saying? Principal. What is principal? Principal is just the amount of money that you borrowed or you invested in. So that's before interest. That's not like with interest, you feel me? So let's say you borrowed money at let's say you borrowed $20,000 from the bank to buy a car and your interest is 2%. So that's like $4,000, I guess, $400 every month, I guess. I think that's quick math. But anyway, the principal wouldn't be the $400. The principal is that $200K that you borrowed. That's how much money you borrowed. Even if you put down like $1,000 down or whatever, the principal is whatever you borrowed. You feel me? Whatever you borrowed from the bank. Credit score. You all know what this means. Credit score is the rating of an individual's credit worthiness based on financial history. Basically, it's how likely you are to pay something back because you've you've taken money out before. So how likely are you to pay that money back? You feel what I'm saying? That's what a credit score is. It's basically like a score in a video game. It's basically saying to other people, like, he has a high score because he pays on time. He doesn't take out much money. He always, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't go over what his limit is. You feel me? Because a credit score basically tells everybody else you got a good score in the game because you worked hard and you played the game correctly. A bad credit score tells everybody that you basically did the game incorrectly and you basically just bullshitted your way throughout the game. You feel me? That's what a credit score is. A loan to value ratio. Now we're getting into the good stuff, okay? The real good stuff, you feel me? A loan to value ratio. What that is a ratio comparing the loan amount to the value of the asset purchased. What that means is basically let's say you got a car let's say you want to buy a new car and that car is worth $50,000, right? So let's say for some reason you get a loan for that car for $100,000 for some fucking reason. You feel me? That loan to value ratio will be about like, I think 2 to 1. I forgot really how it goes, but I think it's like 2 to 1. Basically, your loan to value ratio is higher because the loan amount that you took is higher than the actual car's value. You feel what I'm saying? That's a loan to value ratio. It's how much the item that you're trying to buy is worth versus the loan amount that you took for it. You feel what I'm saying? So if it's lower, if you got a lower loan to value ratio, I guess that's better because you can buy the car for cheaper. You feel me? Another example is buying a $500,000 house. Buying a $500K house with a $450K loan results in a 90% loan to value ratio because you have 10% equity in the game. You feel what I'm saying? Amortization. That is the gradual repayment of a loan over time through scheduled payments. So pretty much we all know what that means, but basically that just means it's just put it in a language that you can't understand. That's why I'm bringing it down for y'all because they put it in a language that we can't understand. You feel me? All it is just monthly payments, just scheduled payments. If you buy a car note, you pay that off monthly through scheduled payments. That's amortization. You're paying it off monthly. You're paying it off monthly. Scheduled direct deposit, whatever the fuck you're doing, you're paying it off monthly. That's what that is. Amortization. Feel me? tax deduction. Now, this is mostly for businesses. This is really important for businesses. One of my favorite terms as well. This is really good for businesses. A tax deduction is an expense that reduces your taxable income. Why I love this so much is because this is how the rich people pay zero taxes, bro. This is one way that rich people pay zero taxes. Tax deductions. Basically, let's say you have a business that's catering or like a restaurant business or whatever. You feel me? So let's say you're bringing in $100,000 per month and you only have like $50,000 of real expenses. You feel me? So the $50,000 that you bring in as profit, that's going to be taxable as income tax or like whatever type of tax it is, profit tax, income tax, whatever the fuck it is, right? But you can, let's say you just want to, you can actually go ahead and buy a new car, buy a new restaurant, or buy a new like building and say that $50,000, I'm writing it off for that car, for that business. And you can put in a reason like, oh yeah, because it helps me like look richer. That way more people can come in and eat my food. They'll allow that. And now you have $0 of taxable income. So now you pay no taxes on the restaurants. You feel me? That's why taxable income is so powerful for rich people, because they use that to their advantage to pay no taxes. That's why people like Donald Trump, Robert Kiyosaki, Warren Buffett, they pay no taxes because they use tax deductions. They use expenses, write it off as a business expense, and they pay no taxes on it. You feel me? Another way is donating to charity too. You feel me? If you donate to charity, that money is not taxed at all. You feel me? Depreciation. What depreciation is basically the decrease in an asset's value over time due to use or wear. But basically what that means is like how much money an asset loses over time. If you use a car every day, racks up mileage, racks up wear and tear, all that stuff, the depreciation will be huge because you're using it every day and it's lowering its value. That's depreciation, just lowering something's value over time. You feel me? Gross income. This is the total amount of income that you earn before taxes and deductions. This is just how much you earned like before everything. So if you get paid $12 an hour and you work 40 hours, that's how much you get paid. 12 times 40, that's how much you should be getting paid. Like no matter what type of things, that's how much your pay is before taxes and before everything that gets taken out. You feel me? Before expenses, before taxes, before deductions, everything. That's how much that's how much your total is before all that stuff, right? Net income is how much you get after taxes and that stuff gets taken away. That's how much you're actually left with. That's how much that you take home. You feel me? Your gross income is how much you see is what type of paycheck that you're actually getting, but the net income is how much of that money you actually see, how much of that money you take home and you can spend. You feel me? A fiscal year. A fiscal year is a 12-month period used for accounting, that might not match the calendar year. What that means is basically like it's a 12-month period based off of whenever that period started, whenever that period ends. For example, the school year's financial year ends in June rather than December and in January. You feel what I'm saying? Like they start in June and then they end in June. They don't start in January and end in December, all that stuff. They start in July or end in June or whatever the fuck. But like you get what I'm saying. They don't. A fiscal year that doesn't have to be like January to December. It can be February to March or February to January. February to March, February to all that stuff. You feel me? Leverage. Leverage means using borrowed money to increase return on investment. So this is what I talk about on my channel a lot. This is my favorite term actually. I'm gonna put this on my favorite term. Like number one, This is my shit right here. This is my bread and butter right here. You feel me? Leverage. What that means is using borrowed money to make money. That's all that means, man. Using borrowed money to make more money. I love this term, y'all. Y'all know I love this shit, man. I'm getting excited because I love this shit, man. For example, I'm going back to the house every single day. I'm going back to the house example, man. Every single day. You use $20,000 of your own cash to buy a property that's $100,000, right? If the value rises by 10%, you make a 50% return on your investment. What that means is basically like you buy a house for $20,000, but it's really worth $100K. So you put $20,000 of your own money down, and then if the price goes up to like $110,000, you just made half of your money back already. You feel what I'm saying? That's why I love this shit so much, bro. Man, all right, let's keep it pushing, man. Liquidity. What liquidity is how quickly an asset can be converted to cash without losing value. What that means is basically how fast can you sell this thing and how much of its value can you retain when you sell it, basically. For example, cash will be as 100% liquid because that's just cash. That's the default, cash. You feel me? So if you wanted to sell a house, you couldn't say that that's cash. The house is liquid because it takes months to sell. You feel me? Liquidity is basically just saying like, if you sold this today, how much would you get after taxes and all that stuff? So the higher taxes you pay on that thing, the less liquidity you have on that item. You feel me? A hedge. An investment made to reduce the risk of adverse price movements in another asset. You feel me? Let me say that again. A hedge, not a hedge fund, a hedge. A hedge is an investment made to reduce the risk of adverse price movements in another asset. What that basically means is it's an investment that you use to offset the cost of another stock going down or another asset losing value or whatever. You feel me? Basically, it's buying something that way if something else does bad, the money from this you make from this, it cancels that out and you just, you know what I'm saying, you break even. You feel me? An example would be buying gold to offset losses in a stock portfolio because gold rises when stocks crash. You feel me? Buying something else to reduce the blow to your net worth that this one had. You'll still take the loss, but you'll buy this now so where you can increase your you know what I'm saying, like that way your loss isn't that bad. You feel me? For example, like if you invested in stocks and you lost and you're about to lose like $1,000, so now you go buy gold and that gold will go up by $2,000. So now you're technically up $1,000. You feel me? Or if that gold goes up by $500, you're not down by $1,000. You're down by $500 because the gold kind of went up. You feel me? Now the last term I got for y'all is yield. What that is the yield is the income earned from an investment expressed as a percentage of its cost. Excuse me. That basically just means how much money you're making from that investment that you made as accordance to like how much you put into it. You feel me? For example, if you bought a rental property for $100K and you're making $5,000 in profit every year, that's a 5% yield. You feel me? If you bought it and it's making you $10,000, that's a 10% yield. 15K, 15% yield, and so on. You feel what I'm saying? But anyways, y'all, that's what I got for y'all, man. And actually, I think something just came in the mail. I'm not gonna lie. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. This right here, these things right here. The dictionary about law, Barron's dictionary about law, and Barron's dictionary about real estate. I'm gonna be spamming these. You feel me? For the next couple of years. My plan is not to just read them, to memorize them. My plan is to absorb the knowledge. You feel me? Just put myself into this knowledge. You feel me? Like, what's the word? Like, I'm trying to basically just, you know, but these terms in my head without memorizing them. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to just be around these terms. You feel me? I can't remember the word, but that's what I'm doing this season, y'all. I suggest y'all invest in these, man. This is like $20 from Amazon for both of these. You feel me? I suggest you invest in these. The payoff is gonna be huge, y'all. But anyways, y'all, that's all I got for y'all, man. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, y'all. Hey, man, we out.